slum areas, the percentage is so high.
Hata mabisa zangu wengi ni wenye wako kwa hiyo situation.
And we will continue this way. We are not going to have leaders in the future.
In September 1994, 179 leaders converged in Cairo, Egypt for the International Conference on Population and Development ICPD, where they adopted a plan of action that called for all people to have access to comprehensive health care, including voluntary family planning, safe pregnancy and childbirth services, and the prevention and treatment of sexually transmitted infections. 25 years later, in November 2019, over 9,000 delegates from all over the world met in Nairobi for the ICPD 25 Summit. The aim of the meeting was to review and accelerate the promise of the ICPD Action Plan, which was seen as a catalyst to the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals by the year 2030. But this was not without opposition.
We view this agenda as an intent to corrupt our young people and enslave them to foreign ideologies, for example, same-sex union.
Kwa hivyo tunawaambia hatuwataki, na kama unafikiri fedha zao ndizo zitasaidia, tunasema wakae nazo.
Tumwambia we want to march even to the airport as they come. We tell them we don't need you here.
The conference and the clergy's opposition came amidst a silently burning problem that is threatening the future of Kenya's development: the rise of adolescent pregnancies.
Teenage pregnancies.
Hundreds of schoolgirls who got pregnant.
The figures of school-going girls impregnated during this period keep on increasing.
4 months after the highly opposed ICPD 25 summit in March 2020, COVID-19 gripped the country. Life as we knew it changed for everyone. Thousands lost jobs. Movement was curtailed, and school-going children were forced to stay at home for almost a year. It is in this grip that the silent pandemic of adolescent pregnancies reared its ugly head and continues to threaten the future of thousands of girls in many parts of the country, including Nakuru, my county.
That is an area that we ought to invest on, making sure that the county has enough resources to educate and also to mitigate onto those issues that are affecting those teenagers.
When we give them the contraceptive, without proper training, it's like taking a child, giving them the key to drive a vehicle on the highway, and they are not qualified, they don't have a training on the set.
My name is Cynthia Gichiri, and my story is about the burden of adolescent pregnancies versus the debate on sexual education and access to contraceptives for adolescents. Jenny, not her real name, lives with her grandmother in Rongai sub-county, Nakuru County. She is barely 14, but is already a mother. Her daughter just turned 5 months old.
Kabla hii mambo itokee nilikuwa natamani kuwa sister. Nihisi uchungu.
The father of her child is a 40-year-old relative whom she lived with in Olkalau, Nyandarua County, where she sought refuge at an early age after the death of her mother. She was, however, rescued by an appeal for help on social media by one of her neighbors who organized some counseling sessions for her.
So one day as she was coming from school, she came and found everything done for her. The cows have been milked, the house is clean, the utensils are washed. She was only told to cook. So she was so happy to find everything had been done to her. So that particular day there was no one, there only the two of them. So this guy went out, he drank, then came back late at night and he knocked the door. So when this girl was opening, he knew this relative has come. So let me just prepare food for him and give him food. So as she brought food, the man ate. And after eating, that's how she had to hold her, forcing her. And that is how she did the act. And that's how the results of the pregnancy came about.
He chased her away after realizing that she was pregnant, and this grade 7 pupil became suicidal.
So every morning she used to wake up and go to a hill, just wanting to kill herself. So at the end of the day, she used to just hide, come back late, sleep, go in the morning, come back late. So they couldn't meet with this perpetrator. And that is how now the neighbor had to alight the situation.
Jenny's grandmother is a casual laborer. Due to the COVID-19 effects on the economy, she rarely gets work to do in order to support her family and the baby.
Leo ndiraigua ni murito. Na leo uria wi murito nijagite wa kunengera. No kamundu ungienda kundeithiriria. Tondu riu ni mwana gaka ni kana ka mwana. Maisha ngumu. Bibi anahitaji nguo za kukula na hata atasoma. Bado tu niko mdogo na sijiwezi. Maundu mothe ni niĩ, kila kindu ni niĩ.
Some 90 kilometers away in Kuresoi South, another grade 7 pupil, whom we will call Marianne, is learning the ropes of motherhood after giving birth to a baby boy 2 weeks ago. The story of Jenny and Marianne reflects that of thousands of girls in Nakuru County who have been forced to cut short their dreams after becoming pregnant.
Still on my mission, I'm on my way to Kiptagich Shopping Center, where I will find an administration officer who will shed more light on the factors contributing to the rise of teenage pregnancies in Kuresoi.
We had 60 cases at Tachasis. So we were having about around 80% of teenage pregnancies. And as we go back to Tachasis, you see, out of the 60 cases, most of them have not turned up back to school.
On average, teenage pregnancies affecting girls between the age of 10 and 19 in Nakuru County stand at 18% nationally. Njoro Sub-County takes the lead with 35%, followed by Kuresoi North and Gilgil Sub-Counties with 28 and 21% respectively. Fourth position is Molo Sub-County with 19%, followed by Subukia and Kuresoi South with 18% and Naivasha with 17%. At the bottom of the graph is Nakuru West and Nakuru East Sub-Counties with 11%.
That shows you a skew towards that the urban sub-counties have lowest levels vis-a-vis the rural. The urban girls probably are more exposed to better information, so they might have better negotiating skills, and probably they'll have delayed initiation of sexual activity compared to the rural, because even if you look at Nairobi, the same thing happens there. So this is how I would explain it. Yeah, so the exposure. Whereas in the rural area, some of these things is really taboo. I'll give you like a typical Kalenjin community. Even mentioning some of those sexual words is a taboo, it's never discussed.
Most perpetrators of these childhood pregnancies are people known to them, some in the family setting.
What I've picked as a counselor is that these girls are vulnerable. And most of the time you find that they come from backgrounds that have issues. For example, you can find a parent who is a drunkard, both of them, the mom and the dad. So they don't have time for their children. So it is a trend that the men take advantage of these girls because they are not able, they don't have.
In some instances, however, peer pressure among adolescent girls has led to increasing cross-generational dating between them and adult men.
In September 2017, I became suddenly sick. It was appendicitis. My appendix had to be removed urgently. After my surgery, as soon as the anesthesia came off, I found myself in this ward, together with a 13-year-old girl whom we will call Monica. She had just delivered a baby girl. My interaction with her lasted for a week, but it opened my eyes to one of the biggest challenges that is facing the country today, teenage pregnancies.
Monica's child is a result of a relationship she had with a 20-year-old man. I finally catch up with her at Pangani Estate in Nakuru, where she lives with her mother.
Hodi.
Tulijua na Benjo sister yake jana kwa beste yangu. Yaani tulianza tu hiyo ubeste usalimiana hivyo tukaendelea na tukasonga. Hata mabeste zangu wengi ni wenye wako kwa hii situation. Unajua kuna wale machelo wanataka tu uingie tu box yake. Ukishaingia hivyo kimalizana na wewe ni hivyo.
At a time when Monica should be in school building her future, she now has the burden of fending for her child who is expected to start school in a year's time.
Sasa ningeendelea na mtoto, sasa hatuna pesa, naendelea shule aje. Sasa ikabidi tu nikai-cancel kwenda shule. Juu sasa nitaenda shule, tuna pesa hata ya kulipa school, hata ya chakula ndio inakosa, ya shule ndio itapatikana.
Nilisikia vibaya kwa upande yangu. Juu mtoto alikuwa mwerefu sana shule.
From our talk with Naomi, I have discovered that one of the problems facing these girls today is lack of sex education in schools. She tells me that had she known what she knows now, maybe she would not have found herself in this situation.
For a town that has been laying out plans and structures to becoming Kenya's 4th city, Nakuru may never achieve its economic aspiration with its ongoing adolescent pregnancy problem. Young mothers lack the necessary education and training to help drive Nakuru's economy forward.
Because the time msichana amepata mimba, out of maybe 10, maybe 3 are going back to school. Lakini out of the 7, wanapotelea. Wanaweza kuja shule, class 8, wakitoka, marriage, wanaolewa. And that is the end of the story.
It is with this picture in mind that the Elbagon member of County Assembly, Njuguna Mwaura, tabled the Nakuru County Maternal, Newborn and Child Health Bill in November 2019.
The bill had actually foreseen situations that currently we are dealing with, and therefore we felt it was good and it was prudent for us as legislatures to come up with the laws that can assist the children from actually indulging into such kind of things.
Key among clauses that triggered contention was one that proposed access to contraceptives for children, and I quote, "No person may refuse to sell condoms to a child if such a child is sexually active or already a parent, thus engaged in sexual activities that put them at risk of STIs and pregnancy, or contraceptives including condoms may be provided for a child on request without the consent of the parent or guardian of the child if the child is of sufficient maturity and mental capacity to understand health information to make an informed choice, or proper medical advice and counseling is given to the child." However, the bill faced opposition from within and outside the assembly.
We withdrew the bill, but we are coming back with the bill. It will be a gender department issue, whereby both the boy child and the girl child will now be salvaged or will be cautioned from the moral decadence that we are having currently in our county. Because we also realize that one of the reasons as to why many girls are engaging into sex is because of they want the money to buy the sanitary towels. The bill also had addressed that, so that the girls had no reasons as to engage into sex or childhood prostitutions, which is majorly making those children to fall victims of men.
The second part of the clause proposes that a child of sufficient maturity who obtains condoms, contraceptives, or contraceptive advice in terms of this act is entitled to confidentiality in this respect.
There are no those peer counseling department in our schools, which are supposed to be established by the Ministry of Education. They are supposed to make sure that these children are being given the sex education.
There is only that there is a changes within the human development and conceptualization of issues and ideas and coming up with the new technologies. That is why many of our societies are deviating away from the normal lay down and taught principles that they have been holding that have held the communities and societies together. And so now, because of this deviation, it is now causing us to this problem we are having today, and more so from our families, because the failure, the moral fabric is breaking from the family level. It is not from the scientific level. These are just mitigation measures, which we from the religious fraternity feel we need to get back to the root of the whole issue.
Na hizi contraceptive ukiangalia, hizi vitu zingine ziko na side effect. Utaamua kumpa mtoto wako leo contraceptive, kesho wakati sasa ameolewa na anatakikana awe ndani ya nyumba yake, inaweza ikamfanya yule mtoto asiweze hata kushika mimba ama kupata mimba kwa sababu ya complication ambayo imetokana na hizi contraceptive. Kwa hivyo maadili tunapoteza.
You find a girl is 16, she comes, she delivers. Now after she delivers, she's a mother. Do you offer her contraceptive after that? But because she's underage, you cannot.
I strongly feel the need should have passed, because even it could make Nakuru County be one of the counties that is trying to embrace progressive policies on reproductive health.
If you could also, instead of just saying do away with the bill, do away with the bill, give us a different way that you would like to see things phrased, if that's the issue.
A similar bill tabled by the Nakuru Senator Susan Kihika was shot down in the Senate Assembly in July 2020.
The biggest opposers of some of these people are our churches. They feel by giving them the knowledge, you're exposing them to sexual activity. So what is the content of what we give as the Catholic Church, as Protestant Church, FBOs, the Muslim? What is it?
The church is addressing all these issues. That is why when the church talks about aspects of sexuality, it doesn't talk like it's being proposed just to give contraceptives. We are talking that there are responsibilities that every individual is responsible. But now, since these things are taking place, we also need to bring on board a whole discussion of the whole issue. So it should not just be cut off just for the sake of some people saying, let's give the jabs to the young girls and the contraceptive, so we've solved the problem. We would have just opened them to the Pandora box.
Kwa mfano, ikiwa tunasema sasa alcohol should not be given to kwa mtoto chini ya 18 years. Sawa ndio vile inabidi tuwafundishe hawa watoto wawe ni wenye abstain from sex. They have to say no to sex.
But even as this debate rages on, lack of sexual education continues to put many girls like Jenny, Marianne, and Monica on the path to destruction.
Udigira gitano ndo wako mathomithio guo riu ndironire ni ugwati riu ni ndiraikara kimaragiria no ukorwo ni angianyitite namenye he uru kana ugwati uingiraga.
Si yetu ingekuwa tunaongelesha labda tuseme maneno usafi, mademo yanaenda azi mwisho wa mwezi, periods hivyo tu, hizo ndio tulikuwa tunaongeleshwa. Tulikuwa tunaongeleshwa maneno sijui pata mimba sijui Sasa labda usikie watu wakikuambia, wewe kosa kujichunga, shauri yako utashika mimba. Haya. Na naenda.
We really have to talk to our children as early as possible. Be friends to our children so that they can know what sex is and what is the safest time for them to have sex. It's when they are married. So if they get to be taught from this young age, they'll be able to understand what sex is all about.
Secondly, there are loopholes in the criminal justice system that have made it difficult to punish sex offenders, leading to an increase of defilement cases, especially in this pandemic season. In Jenny's case, her defiler is still a free man, even after the case was reported to the nearby police station.
But from time to time, I would keep asking the police, would you still help? And then I was told they can't because the crime happened on that other side, we go there. Or if I really need the help from the police station here, meaning Guy Post, I fuel the car and all that, and that was costly for us.
In some cultures, parents opt for local settlements with perpetrators.
They may record a statement, but you will not see them any other time because of the parents don't want these issues of maybe applying the law, because they want to go to this issue of kienyeji, ama in our language kipka.
Our penal laws, they are very weak, and also our investigative instruments, they are very weak. You find that there is somebody somewhere who impregnated a kid, and yet the police have that information, but they cannot be able to arrest that person. It's high time now we take our officers out from the offices to the field.
Despite these challenges, there lacks a government-run rescue center for victims of defilement in Nakuru, except this one run by the Philadelphia Church that can only host 15 girls at a time.
After going through their cases, we first identify whether they have to be sheltered here, because others are not cases to be sheltered. We would like or appeal to the government to follow up the cases. They refer to us because we are helping the community. So they follow up, and especially when we want to get the real parents of these girls, we are forced to look for our own means to go to where these girls comes from, and therefore it is challenging. Some cases are not very safe, so sometimes we need protection from the government.
It's something in the plans, so we're going to have one in Gilgil. At least that's what I know as far as the county is concerned.
We are at an anomic stage whereby you find that nobody who is caring. The child is no longer a communal child. The country is engaging into other things. So the parents are busy fighting the economic vagaries that they are facing currently. So what we are saying is that we need to come up with foundations whereby the children must be given the first priority by everyone.
And what you see behind me is one of the girls who was rescued by this couple while she was 5 months pregnant. And they have come to visit her for the first time just to see how the baby is doing. Her baby is 3 months old, and she has been living here since she was rescued. It is indeed a very emotional moment for this girl.
Motherhood is a long journey and requires one to plan in terms of age, psychologically, and financially. Until proper laws and programs are laid out in schools and in the community to prevent adolescent pregnancies, many girls like Jenny, Marianne, and Monica will continue to be thrust in this journey while still in dire need of parental care themselves.